Well, welcome everybody to the Azure Standard podcast. I'm Spencer Askew. I'm on the marketing team here at Azure Standard. We've got a great podcast for you today, a fantastic guest, Miss Julie Wentz. She's the founder and trustee of Freedom Healthcare. It's a nationwide movement dedicated to building the new paradigm of healthcare, one rooted in the creator's original design for spirit, mind, and body wellness. She has a rich background spanning marketing, retail management, senior living operations, tech startups, and large-scale event production. She brings both strategic and compassionate leadership to the mission of restoring foundational health for humanity. Graduated at Oregon State. She studied international business at the University of Vienna in Austria. And her professional journey reflects a lifelong passion for innovation and service, from managing national retail operations to fostering community wellness initiatives. Served as a respite foster parent in Arizona, relocated to Tennessee to expand Freedom Healthcare's vision and impact nationwide. In addition to that, she's also an author and creative storyteller. Her children's book, debut children's book, "'Twas the Night Before Christ's Birth," released in November 2024, offers a heartwarming retelling of the nativity story in the classic poetic rhythm of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." Has a QR code for readers to enjoy an audio narration as well, accompanied by an original music score. Due to its growing popularity, a Spanish edition was released in October, extending the message of Christ's birth to families around the world. Julie's life and work reflect her unwavering belief that true healing begins with restoring faith, community, and the natural order of God's creation. So excited to have her here with us today, Julie. Looking forward to talking with you. So happy you're here.
Hey, Spencer, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. It's wonderful to meet you. And I'm excited about in the chat today about Freedom Healthcare and your mission, your very, very important mission, what you're doing to really reshape that healthcare paradigm in this country, which, as you know, probably better than anyone, needs a massive shaping, a massive revival, I guess you could even say. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And I think that's why we're on this journey, is we've all learned the last 4 or 5 years that things are not as they seem. Right. And I think that's the biggest thing, is we have got to look at the existing system and what its focus is. And it really isn't about healing. It's more about, sickness and pharmaceuticals. And there really is a better way. I mean, our creator made us perfect. We're supposed to be in perfect health. So helping people find their way back to that and find that place of being healed and whole. And it's quite the journey we've been on.
Absolutely. Healed and whole, not just managing symptoms. I've heard that the joke that actually our system is a sick care system instead of a healthcare system. And so what you're doing is so important, and I'm excited for you to be able to share that with the Azure audience today. I kind of feel like we should hop right in and hear about what you're doing. There are 3 questions that I think every great conversation when you're getting those revolves around. And that's: who are you? What do you want? Where are you going? And so those are the sort of questions we'll be talking through today as far as Freedom Healthcare and your background. Just to kind of get a holistic approach to what it is you're doing differently and why it matters. So I guess, for those listening who may not know about Freedom Healthcare and its mission, tell us kind of exactly who you are and what it is that makes Freedom Healthcare so special.
Well, it was, I thank you for the introduction, because listening to all of the things that were in there, it was kind of like, there's been the background, there's quite a bit there of what has led me to the place where we're at. So God has really lined out my history to bring us to this place. And it was interesting. I don't have a medical background. I never would have stepped into where he has me taking this new paradigm, but all of the learning the last few years and then understanding what's been going on really has taken this stair step to get us to Freedom Healthcare. And the journey started about 5 years ago in 2020, when kind of woke up to what was going on. And we were doing freedom fighting work in Arizona, just helping people. I was still in Arizona at that point, and really waking up to what was going on in each of the systems, whether it was government or healthcare or education. It was like, oh my goodness, it's not really what we think it is. Things were being exposed.
Right.
And when they started mandating the shots to the frontline professionals, police, and everything else, I'm like, oh my goodness, God has continued to give me words and show me things along the way, going, okay, there's something going on. We have to step out. And it was during that time we were helping the medical professionals in Arizona hold their ground in their jobs, but not have to be mandated what was being mandated on them. And that was quite the little journey. But during that time, a friend and I were talking, and she just goes, we have to start a new healthcare system. And I'm like, okay, that's too big of a thought. There's, no medical background. That's not my forte. I know nothing about it. It's been around for 120 years. That's impossible. And she just goes, how do you know that God doesn't have you right here, right now for something like this?
Right.
So that started the thought process. And there was a couple of weeks I just thought, okay, Lord, just going to pray about it. I have a business background. I have an out of the box thought process. I can see end results and goals, work our way back. But I told him, I said, you'd have to bring the people. I don't have this background. For this to happen, I'll be the hands and feet and help you put it together, but you have to bring the people. Mm-hmm. And that's what's been happening over the last 3.5, 4 years, is really building this structure and foundation to help people step out of the existing sick care system, which is exactly what it is, and help them find actual health. And as all of these pieces were going along, at one point looking at, okay, what do we put on the website? Okay, body, mind, spirit, nature-based. And God goes, that's backwards. Like, what do you mean that's backwards? And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's spirit, mind, body. The piece that's missing, that's been taken out of our existing sick care system, is the spiritual aspect of health for people, which is where all true health comes from. We were born perfect. God gives us a perfect body to begin with, but there is a spiritual aspect to healing. And when that's taken care of, the mental and emotional and physical follow suit. So I'm like, oh my gosh, we really have to help people focus on the spiritual part. And when we first started working on this, I had thought, okay, we're kind of creating a parallel system. There's other entities that have stepped out. But then I realized, no, this is a completely new paradigm. We're going back to creation. We're going back to what we were given as human beings to actually step into that place of health. So that's where the spiritual aspect comes in. But then there's also that whole creation and nature-based perspective that goes with it. Yes. So every single thing that exists, we are changing that and turning it right side up to where we have to get people to that place of actual healing. So all of the pieces that are getting put into place and that are already in place now, people can actually access a paradigm that isn't out there in any other form. Our goal is to see people healed and not have to deal with the sick care system. Wow. The whole goal would be not having to go to a doctor, but having the ability to have health yourself, understand the spiritual aspect of your health, the mental and emotional, and have that nature-based component for healthy food, which is where we come into collaboration with Azure.
Yes.
So that's kind of just the, kind of bringing it up to speed to that point.
I love that. And it's so true. I feel like for maybe even the last 100 years, we've been kind of conditioned to view things very materialistically. And what I mean that, not like amassing goods, but that the material world is all there is, right? And so I think with COVID, at least for a lot of people, that was a wake-up call. Mm-hmm. Like you were talking about being on the front lines there, advocating for those professionals. But also it was kind of an awakening to the spiritual world again, that maybe there's something to this. Yeah. And that aspect of the spiritual healing, making sure all that's in alignment and everything else follows suit. it's an old idea, but it's a new idea, and then it's coming
Right.
back around. And so it's cool that you're on the forefront of that with the new healthcare paradigm, because that
And
is so necessary.
that's why it's being called that, because it isn't a parallel system. We're going to take the best of what exists
Hmm.
and pull it out and create this new paradigm, which is the existing paradigm, his paradigm of what health looks like. And I went to a conference with pastors and doctors, I don't know, about 6 months ago. And one of the gentlemen, very, very wise professor, he made a comment that just stuck. Our existing system looks at us as a petri dish of cells to give pharmaceuticals to,
Hmm.
where we are actually made in the image of God.
Right.
So this is shifting us back to who we truly are and where that connection to our creator and creation is, his nature and his nature for healing. There's two pieces that go together, not only who our creator is, but then also his nature that brings us everything we need healthy food wise to exist.
Yes. Yeah. That's amazing. I want to jump back a little bit, because you told me a little bit about kind of what led up to this.
Mhm.
You have a very diverse background. Even reading your bio, I was like, she's done a lot of things, and she sounds like she does a lot of things well. And we kind of got into what was the cause behind starting Freedom Healthcare.
Mhm.
But was there a particular moment, uh, outside of the COVID, season as a whole? Was there a particular moment that you consider the catalyst for that inspiration that has carried you now a few years down the line and doing this thing for real?
Yeah, and it was funny because when I woke up in 2020, February 2020, I didn't like politics. I didn't like history. I wasn't engaged in anything. I had this nice little tiny life with my dog in Arizona. But he started putting me in rooms and places with people to start learning what I needed to learn. So even as Freedom Healthcare is formed as a 508c1a private ministerial association, that first piece of it was working with some gentlemen during 2020 who helped gyms stay open by helping them turn into PMAs. I didn't even
Mhm.
know about PMAs, private membership associations. Well, that helped those businesses stay open. So that was a piece that got planted. God's like, I'm going to show you all these things because of where you're going and what I want you to do. That catalyst really was that conversation with my friend,
Mhm.
because she said, how do you know that God doesn't have you right here, right now for something like this? And I made a deal with him because I'm like, you have to bring the people. I
Yeah.
cannot do this. There's no way. I don't have the background. I can't do it. I'll be your hands and feet. But since then, since that deal, he has continued to bring the people that have a piece of this puzzle that is getting put together and that already has a strong foundation. So whenever I get frustrated or go, Lord, we're, 4 years in, like we need huge financial heavens to open up, to build the clinics, to build the micro hospitals. And I'll get frustrated and I'll go, not supposed to do it. Like, I'm just going to go get a job like a normal person. And then he goes, and then he'll bring me somebody. And he brings me key people that all have a piece of where we're going. So when that happens, I'll be like, okay, I made that deal with you. So I'll just keep going. So that was the pivotal point.
That's really cool. It's we have a saying around here that do the work and trust God for the results.
Mhm.
Being faithful in doing the work that you've been called to, and
Yeah.
then the Lord brings the harvest, to use like an Azure term, right? And so
Yep.
he's surrounding you with the right people, because it takes something like this, something like Azure, something like Freedom Healthcare, takes so many people
Yeah.
working in conjunction and unity of vision and mission for it to happen. And so I
Yeah.
love to hear that those people are coming to you,
Yeah.
and that it's, the pathways opening up for what
And
you're doing.
and a lot of times too, you have to learn to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
So I realized that maybe I wasn't asking him the right question. So when
Mhm.
I shifted and said, okay, what I think needs to happen isn't happening, I'm going to ask a different question. So I said, okay, Lord, I need you to bring me more advisors, the people that have the piece of the next steps, so that we can start looking at the bigger picture. And you can bring the people that can take this even further than what you're showing me.
Right.
And it was within a week that it started showing up, and huge things that I hadn't even thought about. You know, everything from the things that are getting worked on right now are the existing system. So if when God told me to he's resetting the axis, he's turning things right side up. So when we look at the existing system, the things that have to change, well, one thing is the medical system itself, the hospitals, the doctors, they have all your information. But it's you, and it's your information. It doesn't belong to them. It's you, you're a person, and it's your information.
Right.
So we're working on technology that is going to actually bring this forth. If we're flipping the system, we're turning it right side up, we're putting it where it should be. Another piece of it is looking at the insurance. I learned so much. So when I was sitting, I had to figure this out. Like, I had no medical background. So I was sitting with doctors in Arizona, and we were doing roundtables. And I said, you guys need to teach me about this system because I have no clue. So I would ask one of the ER doctors, had been in one of the systems for about 25 years, and I have a business background. So I said, okay, somebody comes into the ER. What do you make off that service? To me, it's all product and service. What would you make off that service? And she said, maybe 20, 30%, and then we'd have to pay our billing. I said, where did the other 70% of the money go? Oh, it went up to the hospital and the insurance. And then I asked a cardiologist, if you had maybe an $1,100 procedure, how much would you make? And he said, oh, maybe $190. And when I heard this, I got so excited, because I can see how we're going to be able to make healthcare so affordable, because we're taking the beast out of the system.
That's right.
Doctors and physicians, practitioners, alternative healers, they will still be able to make money, but we're taking that piece out so that people can find the healers that they want to go to, that they choose, and not have to pay that big money. And then the other things that are getting worked on, this insurance replacement, the conversations that have happened lately, just learning that health insurance has increased 30% and is going to go up again next year. And these businesses and people don't have a choice because they think they have to do it. And this is trying to, I think what's the most difficult part is getting people to think something different. We've all been trained to believe we're part of this slave system and we have to do what's available, as opposed to thinking outside the box, going, you know what, there might be a better way, and there might be a way to do this. Well, most people have insurance because I call it the what if. What if there's a car wreck? What if there's a heart attack? We've been trained to worry about the what if.
Yeah.
Well, the what if only happens 5 to 10% of the population, which is also the comorbidities and the big users of insurance. Well, 80% of us don't even use our insurance on a monthly basis or anytime during that year. Well, do you get your money back? What if you could put it somewhere really inexpensive to take care of the what if?
Yeah.
And then be able to go to the naturopaths, functional medicine, hyperbaric chamber, whatever, for health and healing. It shifts everything out, but all this money has been going up to the system. Now it's increasing and people are getting less care than they were before and less benefits. I'm like, wait a minute, this has to turn completely around to actually help people. Right. What if there's a way, like this is one of our collaborations, and I love this, I tell this to people. When they become a member of Freedom Healthcare, right now it's $43 a month. We have access to Kinetic Health, which is a 24/7 virtual. There's labs, there's medication, there's advocacy. That's all included. There's also a catastrophic piece that somebody can choose. And then we have Storehouse Wellness, which is a lifestyle platform that teaches people nutrition, physical fitness, mental health, financial health. We're putting all these pieces together. What if, and I use two friends as an example, they both pay $600 a month for insurance. They have a $6,000 deductible, and they go to a naturopath that they don't even use for insurance. So where's that $12,000 or more going? What if they could cover the basics for under $200, use that extra money, not only save it, but we also have a collaboration with UPMA, and I call it Kingdom Assets.
Yeah.
What if you put your money into something that will actually hold its value, and you can grow it, and you can save up or have the money for a naturopath or wherever you want to go? 80% of us don't use the money, and the system's eating it.
Right.
So it really is flipping the idea of what we've been told we have to have into an actual choice for people to find health and healing.
I love that. I mean, we've all had that experience probably, or at least those of us who have at some point spent time in the medical system, right? Where we go into a doctor, we spend 4 minutes with them, and we get the $500, $600 bill,
Yeah.
and insurance covers, maybe a little bit of it, right?
Right.
That's like, what really happened? All he or she did was, prescribe me something. They didn't really take time to get to know what it was, excuse me, I was dealing with. And so to have the option, I mean, most of that being insurance, right? Or going up the chain into the system, getting eaten, as you said, that money, to be able to invest it somewhere and be able to use it for healing and not just for managing symptoms or just because we feel like we're supposed to be doing it that way. I mean, we have a similar battle in the agriculture world with Azure.
Yep.
Where it's like, and you probably know about this too, it's, farmers feel like the only way to do it is the government subsidies,
Right.
To be able to, afford, because they're like, well, I won't make money doing it regenerative agriculture. They don't know there's a better way. So
Right.
part of that's educating there is a better way.
Yeah.
And then like what you're doing is providing the mechanism to get there, because not everyone has the ability to create something like this for themselves.
Right.
So to make a platform of not just like the alternate insurance, but also the education, the
Right.
nutrition, the mental health, like the whole person, right? And being able to go up against the behemoth that is
Right.
big pharma and big medicine.
Right. And I think too, like you said, I think what you said too, like in 2020, a lot of us woke up.
Yeah.
We didn't understand what we were deceived by.
Mm-hmm.
And even something as simple as, and it's in the Bible, the deception, pharmakia is actually sorcery. And it says in Revelation that the people will be deceived by pharmakia. It's in there. So we didn't realize, because this has been around for 120 years, we didn't know what we didn't know. Well, God started waking us up. So not only with the food aspect, with Azure and the chemicals that have been there, and the government deciding what is right for you. Well, wait a minute. I could have sworn when we started the country that it was about the people, and the government was only supposed to protect from foreign invasion, was how it started. Well, now it's everything is controlled.
Right.
People need to be able to make their choices, and they need to be able to choose health and healthy foods. So even when this started, I thought, okay, Lord, is this just like, I didn't even know what the word DPC was. I had to look that up. He would give me words and stuff. Like, I don't even know what these words are. I had to look stuff up. So at first I thought it was just going to be Freedom Healthcare clinics. But as this started expanding, I realized, no, we are creating an umbrella to bring in education, to bring in resources, to have a place for people to go to access all of these. at a cost-effective donation amount because we are a ministry. But then also all of the clinics and wellness ministries that join us, they're all autonomous. God is leading those providers to provide services to their clients or members or patients how they see fit. Everyone deserves a choice. This is not cookie cutter. This is based on what God is having people do for people to help them heal. And it was a podcast I was on a couple years ago, and one of the gentlemen said to me, he goes, "Do you realize how big this is going to be?" And I said, "I don't want it big. I just want it everywhere." The goal is that it stays horizontal just for towns and cities to have clinics where people have a choice to go in and find healing, and a way that's less expensive by being in the insurance system. Can you imagine if you could start saving, 10,000 of that money a year because you're not using it anyway?
Right.
So how about you just put it away and save it somewhere that actually grows money? We actually have that collaboration where people can lease their assets and make more kingdom assets. We see what's happening in our financial system. We see what's happening in the medical system, the government. God just shows me what needs to be provided for the people to have a choice to do something different and find that way to healing.
That's awesome. So we've talked about, I think conceptually what brought you here, why it's so important. For the people that are just now hearing about Freedom Healthcare, walk us through the nuts and bolts. Like what does it look like? I know you mentioned the clinics in towns, micro hospitals. We've obviously talked about the accounts and the alternate insurance sort of idea. Walk us through exactly what's happening. Where do you have your hands? What's being built right now, and how do people get involved with that?
So the first thing they would do would be go to the website, which is freedom-healthcare.us. They can go through the membership. They can see everything that's available. That gets them in as a member because we are a private ministerial association. Every person, vendor, entity that has joined Freedom Healthcare, become part of the family, has brought something to the table for the members at a discounted price. So every member that comes in will not find this out there for anything else. We'll just say just some of the education. We have Energetic Health Institute. We have Christian Functional Medicine Academy. We have more education in there that people can access with discounts. Let's say somebody wants to become a holistic nurse or functional medicine. We already have education in place to help people step out. We have a huge member library of information. We have Kinetic Health, and there's 2 health offerings in there. This is not insurance. It's a health offering. There's a $25 and a $99 choice they could do. They can see what's involved. The meds are included. Labs are included. I mean, they're not going to find this anywhere else.
Right.
We have a catastrophic that people can choose for that what if. It's $56 a month. There's discounts on everything in there. So everything that comes in, there's discounts for so that people can actually access it. Outside of that, we have affiliate partners, which are clinics that are out there that are like-minded in mission and vision, which is what I'm searching for on a constant basis, is where are those providers out there that have the same mindset, mission, and vision that want to heal people?
Yeah.
We're looking for them to bring them into the community of healers so that we can let people know where they are out there. There's also wellness ministries that have become 508 PMAs. So they have the same structures, Freedom Healthcare, and there's even more benefits under that as a Freedom Healthcare member. So everything we do, we look at it as like, how do we protect the clinics that come on? How do we protect the members as this moves forward? I first thought it was going to be just clinics, and then God started showing me there's the layers, everything from like a telehealth to a direct primary care clinic with an urgent care fusion to micro hospitals, and then education. And all of these things are starting to layer. So we already have multiple pieces of education in place. There are clinics that are out there. One of the things that I like the most, obviously because of what God is doing, there's going to be 3 right now. There's 1, but we already have a collaboration with Be in Health, which is a church in Georgia, and they've been teaching a more excellent way for about 30 years. It's all spiritual healing based on the family generations, and they've been healing people, thousands and thousands of people for decades.
Wow.
People have to realize we have to look at the spiritual aspect of our family and ourselves to find that healing. We all have something in our family that wasn't 100% great.
Yeah.
We all have something. So we need to look at that because that also addresses the physical aspect. Expanding from there is we have not only with the technology that's coming and this insurance replacement, not insurance, it's not like anything that's out there, as well as a community connection. But one of the things, even we have Azure Well, and our members get a discount with Azure Well, working with Pete on that Azure Standard piece. But what I'm really excited about, because I look at as we expand these across the country and inviting churches or people that have empty space to put in a wellness ministry, there's a way to benefit the community with a wellness ministry. And we marry a profit center to me, which is Azure Standard. And to me, it's logical because when God said spirit, mind, body, and nature-based healing, if we're approaching a person with spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical health, the obvious part is what are they eating? What is the nourishment? And how do we bring this holistic, this whole person healing to each community? And the reason it became a direct provider care clinic with an urgent care fusion is when I was having the conversation with those doctors, and I had asked the ER doctor who'd been there forever, I said, if you had everything that you have in this giant hospital ER, if you had it in a smaller setting, if you had all the technology you needed, how much could you do for someone? How much could you accomplish? And she said 95%. It's just the big stuff, meaning maybe a car wreck or heart attack or whatever, which made me realize we will not need big hospitals. Everything will be available in that smaller scale. Now, that's why I call them micro hospitals. They'll need to be specialty, whether it's cardiology, whether it's orthopedic, whether it's a NICU and a birthing center. Scale it down and have them autonomous, but have them in the private so people can choose where they want to go and find the healing that they want.
I love that. You said a couple things a lot of things that really resonate. One of the things I like what you're talking about, spirit, mind, body, and nature-based healing. This is maybe a small tangent, but I don't like the term supernatural.
Right.
I like the term natural and subnatural, right? You're talking about we're born with the ability to heal ourselves. God made us that way. And when we are in health, we're living in the natural, right? That healing is natural because God made it that way. But so oftentimes we are just with the system we live in, we're pulled into that subnatural or things are working suboptimally.
Yeah.
And so I love the idea of adding these clinics in the churches that have space for many reasons. One, because it highlights the need for the spiritual help. You're providing a service and it becomes kind of like another magnet for that church, for people in the community.
100%.
Step through the doors otherwise, but they'll come there for their health.
Yep.
And then you're encountering your community in a way that you can serve them.
100%. And that's where this whole idea kept expanding is, okay, the churches are supposed to be the community center of a place of healing. Mm-hmm. So what's missing? What happened to the Old Testament? What happened to that piece of where that healing should be? So not only, and churches are, they're not doing real well. We're missing the piece of the spiritual healing. So you have a church that brings forth this wellness ministry. Not only do they have the space for it, if not, there's a parking lot and we can drop a clinic in a can.
Mm-hmm.
They're now helping their congregation. They are now, which the church shouldn't have walls, they're dropping the walls to welcome in their community and bringing new people in. You're right that maybe had never gone to church, but now we have a spiritually driven wellness ministry.
Yeah.
And people can go find a place where they can actually access healthier food and order it and find a place there. So it expands, and it has the potential of expanding even the membership for that church. And even as this was getting put together, so I look at, there's a gentleman I work with here in our church here locally, and everything is based around work, worship, and service. Well, our property is a historic property, and there's a barn where we have church, and there's a coffee shop. Well, that barn is an event center, and we have a coffee shop. So those two entities cover the nut for the church and the property, which means the money that comes into that church can go towards the missions that the church wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we have churches out there that are worried about congregation. They're always worried about donations. It puts that pressure. Well, everything I kept hearing about the vision casting and what we need to do for churches is, all right, we have the space, we can bring in a wellness ministry. Now we have a profit center that we can marry with that,
Mm-hmm.
which would be Azure, which would be a community-driven piece, a health-driven piece. So we're helping the whole community and bringing it all together. So all of these pieces are building under this umbrella of helping it get out into every community.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you know this or not. I'm at Azure. I'm the one in charge of the Around the Table program, the church outreach. So I'm very, very well, acquainted with this idea. I grew up in the Deep South, and the churches, we never took health seriously, physical health. It was one of those things that, like, we almost Gnostic in a way. It's like, oh, well, what really matters is just what's inside. And I'm like, well, of course, that's the most important thing. But also, we've been called to be good stewards of our bodies. We've been called to be good stewards of creation. When we're healthy, we're more effective ministers. We're more effective husbands, fathers, mothers, friends, when we're not limited by things that can be fixed with just, a healthier diet or a better way of approaching health, like what you're talking about. And so being able to, once again, like you said, marry these two things, really have the church step into their role as guides, stewards, just ministers, I guess is the best way to put it, of health, spirit.
And you're right too. It's like, I could have sworn that this is called the temple.
Right. Yes.
Like isn't this a temple? Like, we're supposed to be taking
the Holy Spirit. Like, come on, you got to make it beautiful.
I know the temple has to be clean. He's coming back for his bride, and the bride's got to be healthy.
That's right.
It's funny because I didn't know why I ended up with health or Freedom Healthcare as the name until I started realizing you're not free unless you have your health.
Yes.
You're not free. So anybody that's sick, anybody that's dealing with all of the health issues right now that have happened on purpose, you're not free if you don't have your health. So how do we help people find that way to freedom so you can be stronger, so you can be a better husband and family and community advocate? How do we help people find those things? And that's where we have to, come out from under the system and bring this to people so that they have access to it if they want it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever get worried or scared? I mean, you're going toe to toe with the principalities here. It's like, is there an element? What do you do to stay grounded and faithful?
I have been spiritually attacked. I've had things happen in my family, my children. I know where God's taking this, and I trust him. So it's just that focus of just keep going. I will take care of you. You're covered. I need you to keep going. And I've been attacked before. I mean, all the freedom fighting work in Arizona. It's like, I'm not new to this. I have no fear. I know where he's taking us. Like, he's shown me, I see the end result. I know where we're going. So my job is just to keep moving it forward because I'm just the hands and feet. That's it. So staying grounded in the word, like every day, people have got to stay in the word. There's so much going on around us spiritually, which most people don't realize what's really happening.
Yeah.
And they need to stay in the word and connected and trust Jesus as we're walking through this. But the spiritual warfare really does affect people's health. And there's more going on than people realize. So discernment needs to be high. People need to be, learning and increasing their knowledge and be asking for wisdom because we have to walk through what's coming. But I'll keep going. There's nothing that's going to stop it.
Love it. Amen. Amen. So you said something earlier. You said, I don't want this to be big. I want it to be everywhere.
Right.
So let's just cast a vision, 10 years in the future. What do you think? What do you want out of this movement, like outcome wise, and in your wildest dreams? Where do you see this 10, 15 years from now as it continues to grow?
Yeah, it's funny because one guy goes, one of the podcasters, he goes, will you have any regrets? Do you think you'll have any regrets? And I said, my only regret is I won't get to see all of the new education centers that open up, because we are going to have brand new schools or education centers. We're not staying where we are. That's it. But I would love to see, 3 wellness ministries in each town. People can put these up anywhere. I mean, we can put it up in a strip mall. We can utilize the churches, which is where it should be. And then have every town or city have a micro hospital that is a flexible place that's transparent in pricing so people know what they're going to pay to go in.
It's huge.
And have each of these pieces that exist in the existing system, which is, the education part, the insurance, the technology, but everything is turned right side up, facing towards God and his temples, and have those taken care of. There's more even coming into play with bringing communities together. When we look at what's happening in our financial system right now, there's a whole nother piece that's getting put together. So it really is creating communities of healing and communities of wellness for people, bringing people back to that community aspect and helping them find, and really shifting the church back to where it should be. Drop the walls and let's bring healing to people based on what the Bible tells us. Like, everything's in the Bible. Like, I just did this. Like, do you want to know how to eat? Read the Bible. Do you want to know how to raise your kids? Read the Bible. Do you want to know, do you want to know how to handle things financially? Read the Bible. Do you want wisdom? Read the Bible. Like, everything's in there. We actually have a guidebook.
Right.
So it's pretty simple. If you want knowledge, just go to the book and everything else will fall into place. So I would love to see, a micro hospital in each town or city so people have a choice. And then clinics scattered across towns and cities where people can go and just completely turn everything upside down so that people have the choice.
Love it. We are almost at time, but I wanted to give a second for you to share where we can hear more from you.
Yeah.
How people can connect. I know, obviously, if you're listening, go check out freedom-healthcare.us.
Yeah.
They have all the information. It has the I'm a health conscious human button you can click, or if you're a provider, I'm a healthcare provider. It'll guide you through the protocol and the steps there. But where can people hear more from you, Julie? Where can people learn more about what you're doing and stay up to date?
So definitely the first place is go to the website, freedom-healthcare.us, become a member. It's donation based. We are a tax exempt entity. We run on donations as we build this. If there's like-minded providers out there that really want to see people healed and are actually working towards that out there, have them connect through the contact us, let them know so we can bring them into the community. if there's ones out there that want to leave the system and want to start clinics or start new wellness ministries, reach out and get connected. Kingdom donors, angel donors, anybody who wants to help get the micro hospitals up and going, help churches launch these clinics, please reach out. We also have on there the Godcast. We started this a year ago, and it's a podcast that Dr. Monzo and I do once a month between his practice and what I'm doing. We just do it once a month. It's the last Friday of the month. And you can go to Rumble, the Freedom Healthcare channel on Rumble or YouTube, and watch the Godcast. And we bring on people that are talking about spiritual healing, as well as some physical, but mostly the spiritual piece, and things that people wouldn't even think about. Like a year and a half ago, God just goes, you need to learn about quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and quantum energy. I'm like, what? So frequency, and now understanding, he's showing us the layers of how he's going to heal. He's showing these things. So the Godcast, there's lots of videos on our website. You can learn more. I think there's one of me talking about Freedom Healthcare on the homepage. But signing up, seeing what's available through Kinetic Health, Storehouse. We now have the teledentists that are part of this. So we are expanding. Another big piece that we just added is I've been collaborating with the Global Research Group that has a proven protocol for the spike protein. This is a big deal with what's been happening to people health-wise. This is huge. There's not another proven protocol out there. So people can go to the website and actually access it directly from the Global Research team. And we have a discount code on there. I think it's a FHR10 for people to get a 10% discount. We need to bring everything in that we can to get people to that place of healing and wholeness.
Yes. Amazing. Julie, it was wonderful talking with you. I'm so excited about what you're doing, and it's so necessary, and we really, just kind of like Azure wants to disrupt a system that profits off of hurting people. You know, you're coming in on another aspect of that and disrupting a system that does the same thing. And I'm just ultimately so grateful for people in your shoes who have the courage and bravery to do it. So God bless you, and God bless what you're doing at Freedom Healthcare. And I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk again soon.
We will definitely talk again soon, and we'll put something together so the Azure standard members and everybody that's part of Azure will also be able to access Freedom Healthcare at a discount. So we'll put that together for you.
Perfect. So everyone be on the lookout for that. I'm sure we'll send out an email when that's up and going and ready to rock. Julie, thank you. And for everyone listening, Spencer, I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.